This is your boy Elijah or Elijah Ifasheyi Fumi Akintola Egunbemi Shangobi, so on and so forth. And today we are going to talk about 607 Ankh and his style as the divine jester or trickster. So I had a chat with Joe about this, and I had a little chat with ChatGPT about this. I've been thinking about it and watching 607 Ankh, for a couple months or whatever. And I believe that he may be, hear me out now, I believe that he might be some sort of divine trickster on some Eshu, DMT, trickster type vibe. And the reason I say that is because he has a lot of wisdom in the middle of all his tricks. He moves and he speaks in riddles. And you're not able to give the information that we have in this world straightforward. That's why a lot of people tend to express things like this through art, or they may try to do it through books or through movies, something symbolic, but they don't never do it out in really person. The real people be hiding in the mountains, or putting on a disguise in this world, whatever it may be, But if you look at this man's clothes, look at this, and look at his hair. You see the way he has his hair like his wicks? Check this out, right? Watch this, bro. This is going to be very interesting. So, you do see his cup as well. He's not holding the cup in this one. But, look. You see that? It's crazy, man. I seen it the moment I saw the interview. And then another thing about the trickster is that for Eshu, for example, he's always causing problems. But if you actually look at the problems that he causes, especially one main problem that I've brought up myself in the middle of learning who Eshu is, one of the main things that he did, right? So in one of the Odu, I forgot which Odu it was, so don't scorn me for it, but long story short, without giving away too much, man, people were starving, and there was birds. They had a pact with the birds. You're not supposed to eat the birds. Eshu was like, hey man, why y'all starving? There's birds here. And then they ate the birds. Now, on an outside perspective, it would seem counterproductive to worship or venerate or respect, or however you want to say, the main spirit that tricked everyone into damnation. But he's not responsible for what they did with their free will. They chose to go against that pact. They didn't have to do that. They could have waited for Eledumare or one of the other Orishas and Irumoles to do something for them, but they decided that they didn't want to wait, and they just want to go ahead and go against the pack and eat the birds. So, with that being said, in one of his first videos, in that video when he was wearing the checkerboard stuff and he had the little, the wicks to look like the hat, and he carries that little skull cup with the, he drinks up out of it and shit like that, I noticed that one of his friends in the back was really, really upset with this nigga about something. I don't know what it was, but he also seemed to be very afraid, very annoyed, but for some reason he's still around. And that reminded me of how Eshu is and how he would cause issues and problems, but it's like the people stay around even though they can't stand him, even though they know that he's an issue. They don't eliminate him because he still holds some sort of power. It's just very interesting. Also, like Set, to put it even more into perspective, the story of Set and Heru and Osiris, as y'all may know him. So the biggest question in good versus evil is, if God has control over everything, then why does he kill the devil? So the answer to that question could be given in the story of, like I said, Heru and Set and Osiris. So during the battle of Heru and Set, to keep it short, Set ended up losing. He had to go and get his power back, retrain. He came back, defeated Set, and when it was time to destroy him, he didn't destroy him, because even though Set was a counterpart or an opposing force to cosmic order, that energy of the ego and that energy of desire and hunger, hatred and darkness is still part of the polarity of existence. So although this person is causing a lot of issues and controversy, this is still his personal role. So even though it might not be as good and as beneficial, then you still can't get rid of him. It's the same thing with the devil in the Bible. They're not going to kill the devil. God's not going to kill the devil. The Elohim are not going to kill Satan or the devil, because To kill that would mean there would only be absolute good. To kill him would be to kill everything that he stands for. To kill him would be to kill everything that's connected to him. And you can't just have pure light and pure darkness. There has to be a maintaining of balance. And there is no preference of who gets to choose to live, who gets to live, and who gets to die, because everyone on this planet is equipped with everything that they need for their own personal destiny, not what they need for the human perception. That's the key. So that reminded me of that, and that whole idea when he was hanging around people that didn't seem to really care for him too much, but they were still around him for the benefits, or whatever benefits they could be getting from him. So that was interesting. And another part that made me think that he was like that type of, entity, whether he might be aware of it or not, you know what I'm saying, is that he likes talking about that this world is a simulation, and a lot of this simulation work and a lot of this simulation talk usually comes from, if you don't understand scripture, and Sanatana Dharma and stuff like that, then you're not going to be aware of Maya and things like that, and not in the scriptural religious sense. 9 times out of 10, you'll become aware of it through things like psychedelics or the movie The Matrix and stuff like that. So, me personally, when I heard him kept saying this world was a simulation, I personally have not seen all of the Matrix movies all the way through. I've seen maybe the first one, then the most recent one, and I've seen a couple of clips of the other ones, man. But I haven't watched the series. I came to know that this world was a simulation through experience and research. So when I heard him say that, it made me think of everything that I read about. It made me think about everything I experienced through psychedelics, through ritualistic practice, research through books, even listening to people talk on podcasts, listening to friends talk as we share information, things like that. I'm like, man, this dude is crazy and he's weird, but he seems to know some shit, because there's certain things that he's saying that I personally haven't said out loud to people, and there's no way that you will know something like that unless you've been to those realms, whether it be through the crack that he might be smoking, or whether it be through the esoteric plugins that he's getting from the universe. Either way, he's seen some shit, and he's doing his best to maintain his vessel enough to go out here and spread the message, and he's having fun and pissing people off while doing it, because he's cracked the code to the point where he can say whatever he want and do whatever he want, and you can't touch him because he's not actually giving it all out. I think that's very smart. I think that's very, very smart. That's a very intelligent approach to take, and it's the exact same approach that, like I said, most other people take, especially Stan Lee. I feel like he was a very esoteric guy. The stuff that he talks about in his comics through the superheroes and shit like that. There's a lot of really, really good occult knowledge in the comics, but we'll get to that in another time. I want you guys to take a look at this video that I saw from 607 Unc, and it was a video of him where he was talking to debating with well, not necessarily debating, but he was sharing information with someone named Bishop Eli, and then they ended up inviting some other guy that was like in between. Like 607 Unc is, cutthroat, you know what I mean? Like straight to the point, dissolving all the illusions through tricks and riddles and controversy. And then you got Bishop Eli, who's straightforward, God, pillar of God, no questions asked, unwavering faith. And then there was that one dude in the middle who was like holy with a blunt in his hand. It was weird, man, how they put that shit together, but I think it was really cool. You really gotta pay attention to it. So in the first one, Bishop Eli spoke. Scripture is clear, invoking authority. 607 Unc, I hear that. But 607 Unc also acknowledges value in community, but warns against control. That's 7 minutes. Bishop Eli pushes back on Unc's simulation talk. Unc admits he's exploring deeper spiritual mechanics, stuff that Bishop Eli won't be able to understand. 607 Unc in the finale. This is a journey, not a conversation. It shows openness and divine mystery. So, I'll get back to that soon, but I want y'all to take a look at this symbology. I want y'all to hear what AI said about it. So it says jacket symbolism and gesture parallels. The red, black, and white color scheme in his jacket closely mirrors the traditional jester's colors, which represent paradox and duality. Black, mystery, chaos, the unknown, also associated with Eshu. White, clarity, divine light, and truth. Red, life force, passion, danger, and initiation. The checkerboard patterns often hint at duality, light, dark, truth, illusion, and appear in esoteric traditions to represent the theory of life, a simulation or spiritual chessboard. The skull cup he carries resembles the jester's or shaman's skull props, symbolizing death of illusion, knowledge through mockery, and the memento mori, or remember you will die, reminder to face truth. Very, very cool. Like I said, they articulate it a little bit better, but you know, I see stuff like that and make those connections. Very interesting. And that's all I have. I would go deeper, but I've said everything I have to say at this very moment. I'll save the next. I'll get to make this like a little preview, and I'll save the next time for I'm actually on the cave with the guys. Until then, this is Eijah Ifasheyi, and I'll see you guys later. Alafia.